Hi everyone, welcome to what I hope is going to be a pretty quick video talking a little bit about headings, subheadings, and titling things in your final research project. So I wanted to make just a couple of general statements, give you a little bit of guidelines, and then also take you through the process of using heading styles on Word so that you can auto-generate your table of contents, which if you watch the table of contents video, you know that I mentioned that that's a thing and it's really cool. So, so here we go. First of all, think of, write for your audience and all of that, but think of a really strong and interesting title for your final research project. Whether it's a magazine article or a journal article, whether it is a report, a proposal, it should be informative, but also maybe interesting. And one of the academia tricks for this, which you've already seen, is having like a title and then a subheading. So you've got the catchy title and then a colon and then a description of what this might be. And so a trick that I like to use for that when I write something is I have that subheading in mind, the descriptive and maybe more boring thing that comes after the colon. I write the paper and then I comb through it for a really great phrase or quote that I can find a really neat kind of turn of phrase or something like that that is catchy and attention grabbing. And so then I'll start with the interesting phrase, colon, the more boring but descriptive piece that showcases what this paper is really about. And if you take a look at some of the examples on Canvas, you'll be able to see some really interesting titles. Now, if you are doing something more straightforward, that's a proposal or maybe a recommendation report for a really formal business audience, you might have a more descriptive title with less of that flair in it. But I think that almost anyone can incorporate, even in a really professional setting, can incorporate something really interesting into the title. A phrase, you know, a little quote from your paper, something that grabs the reader. It's not unprofessional to do that. And I think using the colon and the subheading is a really great way to do both. You've got, oh, I've got my descriptive thing, but I also have my interesting thing. So that's my suggestion for title. Take a look at some of your favorite examples from Canvas and maybe also just things that you've read, magazine articles that you've read. What are they called? How did they get you to click on them? And you knew what it was about, but you also thought, ooh, this sounds really interesting. I want to read this. And so really kind of taking a look at examples is a great way to get some ideas. So that's the piece I wanted to talk about with titles. With headings and subheadings, some kinds of documents already have their headings pretty well set up. If you are writing a journal article for an academic journal, you are going to have abstract, introduction, methods, results, discussion. Sometimes results and discussion get combined because you can't really do one without the other, conclusions or next steps. So there's a very sort of specific format for that. If you have the leeway to be more descriptive with section or subsection headings, you can certainly do that even in a journal article. For the rest of you, doing magazine articles, proposals, recommendation reports, take a look at the format that you're doing, learn a little bit about, oh, here's what usually goes in a proposal. There's a budget section. There's a resources that we need section. There's a, you know, section that talks about our plan. You can title those however you want. One key thing though, is that I'm gonna share an empty Word document here because I wanna show this. One key thing is that your titles should be parallel in structure. So let's say, and this is true of magazine articles as well. Let's say you decide, oh, I'm writing a magazine article about a particular airplane crash. Maybe the Ethiopian Air one from 2019. Was that only a year ago? Well, a year and a half. So, you know, you might say, I like the idea of having each of my section titles being a question that I answer in that section. you know, what happened on March, I want to say 10th. I might be wrong about the year, but I think I'm right about the date. What happened on March 10th? How could this be prevented? That is passive voice. Let me redo that. How could airline companies prevent this in the future? And then if you're like, oh, wait, it's actually multifaceted. We need government regulation. We need the airlines themselves on board. We need the producers of the aircraft. Maybe how could we prevent this in the future? Or if you're like, well, you know, really, I don't even want this to be a we. I want it to be very, very general. Then maybe you say, okay, this is a chance for passive voice. How could this be prevented in the future? Something like that. You know, sometimes you can use passive voice, just very sparingly. But these are questions. And so if you decide, hey, my structure is that I want each thing to be a question that I then answer in that section, you decide, hey, that's the way I'm doing it, and every title is like that. Or if all your section titles are a noun phrase. So when you have that traditional lab report structure, you have results, discussion, conclusion, or conclusions, maybe future work. That's okay that it's 2 words. It's still a noun phrase. So these are all noun phrases. You've got that parallel structure. It's okay to mix it up just a little if you decide your main section headings are words like noun phrases like results, discussion, that kind of stuff. But then within, let's say, background or introduction, maybe your subsection headings have a little bit of a different structure to them. Maybe each subsection is a sentence or something like that, or a longer noun phrase. The importance of solar cells in the United States. The history of alternative energy from 1970 to the present, something like that. So those are like longer phrases, and they kind of go together. So this, you know, if you decide, hey, my subsections are going to be longer phrases, or my subsections are going to be complete sentences, the section headings themselves, like level 1 here, could still be noun phrases. So that's one possible way to mix it up a little, but you still want to be parallel in structure within the type of heading you're doing. This sounds really kind of gritty, detail-y, but I think it's important. So the other thing I wanted to show you here with the section, subsection things, and you can feel free to skip this part of the video if you already know how to do this, but I want to show you how to auto-generate a table of contents. This was a really big aha moment for me, probably in the late 2000s, like 2009 or so, and I like totally rocked my world. I could not believe how many years I'd been manually creating table of contents, which is one of the most menial, boring jobs ever. Yes, I'm capable of it, but nobody wants to do it. Let the machine do it for you. Yes, double check that it actually works, but let the machine do it for you. So here's what you do. I'm in Microsoft Word over here. I'm on a PC, but you know, it looks pretty close or similar on a Mac. I'm on the Home tab here, and these are heading styles, heading 1, heading 2. So let's say I'm going to do an introduction. It's heading 1, introduction. And then I decide my subheadings are, let's do something like I did before. So I'm going to do heading 2 for subheading. The history of solar cells in solar, let's go solar energy in the United States. And then maybe I want like maybe a little bit more of, you know, the importance of solar energy in residential and light commercial areas or something like that. I'm making this up on the fly here. So these may not be the exact wording that you'd want to go with, but you get the idea. So those are heading 2. heading style number 2. Then let's say I do enough introductory stuff and I decide, okay, I'm going to go to past my introduction and background and into my analysis of a couple of different options for solar cells and how they might work. And then I jump back to heading 2 over here and I photovoltaic versus, is it called solar thermal? I can't remember. And then I go, wait a second, you know what I did here? These are noun phrases in parallel structure, but I decided that I'm going lowercase on, so I'm using title case. I'm not using title case. I'm just doing this like a sentence, the importance of solar energy. So I didn't capitalize everything. And here, United States is proper noun, so it gets capitalized. But here I capitalize solar thermal. I actually, in order to go parallel in structure, want to go lowercase. Either is fine, but keep it consistent. So, you know, maybe I have my analysis section. I've got a heading 2 here, more stuff, and then, you know, results and recommendations, and then heading 2, even more stuff. So now let's say my introduction is on page 2. So I'm going to do a page break here. And I've got the history of solar energy in the US, but maybe the importance of solar energy kicks on to the next page. And then the analysis kicks on to the next page. And maybe both sections here are, well, analysis would probably be longer. So more stuff is going to end up on the next page. Oh, all right. And finally, results and recommendations. I'm going to pull again over here. And we've got a multi-page document with subheadings. Now, here's the cool thing I'm going to show you. Oops. I need that page break back in again. Okay. I want to put in a table of contents. Here it goes. Now, I always mess up where this is. It's somewhere weird. Is it references? It's in references, which does not seem like where it should be or where it belongs. But here it is on the left, table of contents. And if I click on this, they build in a table, automatic table 1, just called contents. I like table of contents personally. I think it feels a little, I don't know, feels a little more descriptive. I'm going to click it. Boom. Here we go. Everything I wanted. It's all on the pages it's actually on. And if I want to update it with new page numbers or new things, I can do that, update. Oh, I want to update the entire table. I might say, you know, I need photovoltaic versus solar thermal to be an introductory section, really, because it is more introductory. I want the background of these things. So I'm not going to put that in analysis. I'm going to pop it over here in my previous section. Oh, sorry, guys. I'll stick in that page break over here so analysis starts on the next page. Okay, now let me update this table of contents and show you what I'm looking at. If I click on it, update table, update entire table. Okay, ooh, it changed this to an introductory section. So also it is way easier than typing ... and trying to get it to the end and trying to get all these to line up. You never have to do that again. Just let Word do it for you. So that is what you're looking at with auto-generating the table of contents. I think it's a very exciting tool. It makes me happy when I use it. It's just so easy. The thing is, though, when you do those titles, you have to use heading styles. One thing I didn't show you is those heading styles were kind of boring Microsoft Blue. You can choose from among a really wide array of styles, or you can create your own. So you can use any font you want, anything you want to make these section headings and subheadings stand out or fit your style for the paper, your color scheme, all of that stuff. So you can designate heading styles. You don't have to use the ones Microsoft gives you. So that was just a couple things about headings, subheadings, and how you put them in the table of contents. Thanks for listening. I will post this as soon as Zoom processes it. Thanks.